Hello everyone and welcome back. It's Figure Friday and we have three figures here. We have Omega from the Bad Batch. Of course we have young Anakin Skywalker and we have KB from Skeleton Crew. Now, I will say I think we all know Anakin, especially where he goes from here. Uh, and Omega, I think a lot of us may know Omega from the Bad Batch series. Whether that actually becomes anything live action or not, I don't know. I think it should probably just stay in the animated line myself. And I know that they're coming out with another kind of post-Clone Wars animation taking place sometime towards the end of the Bad Batch. But I wanted to get the figures because we don't get a lot of children figures. So trying to populate a world in that, as I've got a kitty cat meowing at me, um, I kind of wanted, trying to get kind of a diverse, kind of group or whatever else, and I did want to have some children in here. I mean, we don't have very many figures. I've kind of mentioned before, I kind of wish that we had kind of like some generic figures in some regards. I mean, I think that Hasbro could probably come out with like a generic, say like Tatooine figure for a male and one for a female. The same thing for Coruscant and some of the like. Instead of always just having the name figures and all that, I think you could populate like your bar scenes or whatever else with some of those. So to me, I really wanted to get some of the children from the series that we can get. And of course, Omega and Anakin were a little bit on the less expensive side. I've got KB here at regular price, although on Amazon, which is the only place I've seen the figure, I have not seen it in stores here locally. So it was normal price. The other figures were going for a little bit more, so I don't know if I'll be picking those up or not unless the price does come down. So just kind of wanting to cover this because, we really have not covered any children figures. So as far as this goes, it does open up, I mean, because these are smaller. I do have Grand Moff Tarkin here, so we can see the size difference that we have. I mean, there's our 6-inch figure, so we're coming in at what, 4.5, 4.5, somewhere in there for the size. So it, depending on how old the character really is in the series. So I think it works out pretty good. Seeing that old Tarkin doesn't want to stand up for me, and he's knocking Anakin over, and my table's not sitting the best here. So let's kind of see what kind of joints and all that stuff we get here. So we do have an ankle here kind of going back and forth. Right above the boot, we do have a joint to move. Looks like a single knee. We don't have a double knee. And then of course, now she's got a little bit longer tunic here. So trying to get her to sit is, I think, going to be a little bit more challenging here. But she does do it. So if we ever get any vehicles or something that they could sit in, that will be a little bit more challenging. So something to think of. Of course, we have our standard wrists, just a single elbow and a single shoulder here. And torso twist, we do have right above the belt line here for torso twist, so that kind of works. And the head does kind of tilt a little bit here, going back and forth. Now, one of the other thoughts I did have, and it's not like I have a bunch of these, but for some of the other figures where you may have some extra helmets, or like I have some Joe figures or something like that, maybe I could swap out the heads. Now, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of taking the heads off, but I was thinking maybe if I got a couple extras at some point, if I can find them real cheap, I might pop the heads off and change them out with some of the extra G.I. Joe heads or something, so now they look like different figures. Likewise, if I have, because I know I have, I think G.I. or shoot, I want to say G.I. Jane, but not G.I. Jane. Shoot, I cannot think of her name. She's got the green khaki, the green uniform BDUs, and she would work really well for doing just a generic Joe Trooper. But if you had some different heads, you could swap out the heads, and that might work to fill the female ranks in there if you wanted a couple extra female soldiers. But just kind of going through, the joints work pretty good. It's a nice sculpt. Now this is her coming from, I don't know why my mind always likes to do this, but yeah, I gotta look this up here because now my mind goes. Camino. Thinking of other things and suddenly my mind goes blank. So this is her coming straight from Camino, and then it does have her with the powered bow from the Slavers. So, kind of a nice touch here, bringing that whole faction into the world, or keeping it going in the universe. So it works pretty good. Actually, I think this is like the first take on the bow. So I know I have another Omaga, and I think she's got a slightly different version of the bow, and maybe this does it, maybe it doesn't. I'm not 100% certain. This doesn't look like it folds up. The other one I think actually folds up, so, and that works out really nice, because then it can just be on her arm, and it can fold up kind of like it does in the cartoon. And it does come with a respirator, so this is from early on. So this is probably why I had gotten it cheaper, because this was early on in the Bad Batch, and it does not want to stick on there for me. I don't know why it doesn't want to stick on, but it just does not want to stick and hold. It kind of does there for a minute, so I guess we'll see how that goes. And of course, I don't know if you want to kind of consider this a dog or just an oversized lizard, but this is actually from Sid. This is her kind of pet on the planet that they're on. And I know I'm watching the Bad Batch again, but I can't remember the name of the planet. I know it's Sid, and I lost my back. I got a cat knocking things around here. So we'll just continue on without, and you guys will just see the whole mess behind me. But it is kind of nice, having some different things here. And I'm always a big fan of having some pets in that. I think it kind of makes things a little bit kind of homelier, kind of going from there. And then, of course, we have Anakin, and going through here. Now, he's got his ankle, it goes back and forth, as well as, side to side and back and forth here. As far as moving, right here, just below the knee, for his boot, it does twist. And of course, he's got the same kind of tunic issue. So if you want him to sit, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, but he will do it. So if you have a starfighter for him to sit in, he can do it, but it will be a little bit more challenging. Let's see. And he's got a single knee joint. So we can kind of go for a 90 degree, but we're not going to be able to take it beyond that. He can do his torso twist, because right at the belt line we can do that. He's got the single shoulder and a single elbow here. So that works out pretty good. I mean, as a smaller figure, works out pretty good. The head moves pretty good. At least I think it kind of does. Now he's got the backpack, and I will say this. And I think his actually does. Because I think if we're going to do backpacks, I think, in my mind, and I know I'm kind of a goofball on these thoughts, but I think if we're doing backpacks, we should try and get them to open up. And it looks like it does. On this corner, it looks like it opens up. But, I mean, it's hard. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how I would open this up, but I just don't see how it does. And I only have one corner that looks like it would open up, and everything else looks like it doesn't. So maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just how that's all molded together. And of course, let's get his backpack on him. Get Get your arms back here a little bit, your good sir. Okay. Alright. And the backpack sits pretty nicely on him. So if you want him to be running around with his backpack on, you could do it. His hands are a little bit smaller. What I should have done is I should have grabbed like a blaster. Because, and I'm going to say it this way, in the Star Wars role-playing game, you can play as a kid. And some of the funny things, that you actually get, you get a bottle of Fuzzy Glug, that's their soda. You get an animal, dead or alive, your choice. I think you get like a stone and a piece of string or whatever that you can make a weapon out of. So, there are rules in there for doing it, and it's silly and it's funny, but it's there, and yeah, why not have fun and be silly with it? That's what it's all for. So now this character, I really don't know. I did watch the first 2 episodes. I think she's a standard human. It's just some like tech glasses on her. When I first saw her, I thought she'd maybe be more of a cyborg, but maybe she is, and I just never really saw it because I only watched the first 2 episodes. I just didn't really have a lot of interest, and I've got a kitty cat knocking the camera around. As she's meowing all over. Yes, hi. Silly you. All right. But it's another interesting character. She looks like a mechanic, kind of like she'd be a little cyborged out here as a mechanic. Not a big deal. So, kind of going through, we do have forward, backward, as I'm saying it backwards here. Okay, this does not move. It moves again, just like the other 2, right below the knee, and then we have a single knee joint, and then that kind of comes down. Now she actually, like a lot of the older characters, because she is a little bit taller than the others, she actually has on the thigh the movement there where they don't have that. And of course we have the single elbow, single shoulder, and the cat's playing with the paper on the board. And the head moves pretty decent. She does have the torso twist, so she's got the utility belt, the pouch in the back, and she does move. Now her backpack is a little different. Again, it would be kind of nice if you could open these up. Hey, kitten. No, stop moving that camera. Hold on, Ashlyn. And then, we got a flashlight here that does fit into the backpack. And we can get the backpack on here as I'm being called. And then her backpack sits pretty good too. So I think they did a good job with the backpacks. I think that works out alright. So. Alright. So she's the tallest out of the kids that we have so far. Now I don't know how tall the other kids are going to be coming from the skeleton crew. But again, in reference, we have Tarkin here. So we're going to have Tarkin behind. If we can get him to stand up. There's a little bit of a height difference. There's also age differences in there too, but it's kind of nice. Like I said, it's nice having extra figures. If you're doing dioramas, or for me, because I always think about role-playing games or whatever else, if you're talking about having them set up, even if you have stormtroopers going through like a corridor or something like that for looking for rebels or something like that, it would be kind of nice to have some just generic, say like Coruscant civilians or whatever. I think in that regard. And again, some of the things I've mentioned before, if we could get some different speeders or something else, but keep the price down. Ultimately, it is fun collecting these. But when you're looking at $25 a piece, I don't know how many people are really buying them for their kids, or if it's just us adults that are collecting them, you know. But the other thing kind of comes down to if we can get some small vehicles, and I do mean smaller vehicles, even if it's, say, like a small little speeder car of some sort, that you can just get 2 figures in, you know, small, inexpensive, say $30 or $40. I think you're liable to sell them, and you can keep other people interested in collecting some of this stuff. That's my opinion of it, and that's all I can go off is my opinion. And but I think it's a worthwhile thing. Now I'm also hearing kind of rumors from some of the other sites that I see. It sounds like Hasbro might not be making their own stuff. They might farm it out to someone else. We'll have to wait and see what all happens on that, but time will tell. But for today, we have a couple of the kids. Like I said, we have Omaga, Anakin, and was it KB? KB. And I'm knocking figures down. Nice to have some extra figures. I think they're decent looking figures. And everything goes to pot. Oh well. With that, thanks for stopping by. It's wonderful having you here. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.